Let's make some last minute, no bake treats with the help of Instacart. Obviously, these do not have to be last minute, but if you need a last minute treat, these are perfect. There are so many different ways that these little treats can be used. You can share them with coworkers, friends, neighbors, add them to a nice little gift basket or cookie tin. Maybe you're having dinner guests come over and you want to have some sort of nice spread available, or maybe a neighbor brought you an unexpected gift and you want to return the favor. These treats are perfect whether you have planned ahead or you need something last minute. Thankfully, if you have surprise guests, you can get ingredients for these easy treats delivered in as fast as 1 hour through Instacart. And you get free delivery on your first 3 orders. I love being able to have all of my recipes right in front of me and have my Instacart app open and just go through and add all of the things that I need to my order, making sure that I don't miss anything. Ordering through Instacart is a huge help all year long, but specifically during the holiday season, I feel like it takes the stress out of grocery shopping. Head to my description box where you can get the link to Instacart, the holiday rescue app. Let's make some no-bake peanut butter bars. These are delicious. Obviously, if you know somebody that has a nut allergy, you would want to leave these out of like a gift box or a gift basket or something like that. But if you're serving these at your house and you can let people know, this is such a great option. It's so quick. It comes together so quick, which is fantastic. So I've got all of my ingredients ready to go. We're going to mix everything in a bowl and get this thing going. Also, I'm cutting the recipe in half. So the full-size recipe would make a 9x13 dish, but we are making an 8x8 dish. Obviously, feel free to cut yours in half, double, triple, whatever it is that you need. I have a 1/2 cup of butter that I've melted. This is salted butter. That's what I prefer for these. And I know that peanut butter has a little bit of a salty flavor to it, but you guys know I prefer savory over sweet. So things like salted caramel or anything like that, I like a little bit of salt in my dessert. Right here, I have 1 sleeve of graham crackers. We need to make crumbs out of this, so I'm gonna try my best to just crush them here in the bag that they come in, but we probably will end up transferring it to another little baggie to finish that off. You can take something like a rolling pin, a meat mallet, something like that to crush these. Now, I'm also fairly certain that you can buy graham cracker crumbs already crushed up, but I mean, what's the fun in that? Then you miss the opportunity to hit something with a meat mallet. Right, for this, we need to add 1 cup. Oh, there's a few pieces in there that I did not crush very well. Okay, all that goes in. I need to add about an 1/8 cup of brown sugar. About 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar. Maybe, yeah, about 3/4 of a cup. And we can add more once we start to mix this if we feel like it's not quite thick enough. If it's a little too runny of a consistency, we can add more powdered sugar to it. I'm only adding about 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. It's just a little bit. And then a 1/2 cup of peanut butter. Whatever kind you want. You just want this to be the creamy, I mean, I guess you could use a crunchy peanut butter. We're not, we're using a creamy version, but it's up to you. I mean, maybe it actually could be really good to have that crunch in there. All right, so we start to add all of these. Obviously, you can do this with a hand mixer. You can do it with a standing mixer, whatever your preference is. It's pretty easy to mix though. And I do feel like it needs more powdered sugar. So right off the bat, you can see, like I want it to be, I don't want it to fall off the spoon quite that easily. So we're gonna add another 1/4 cup. So that takes us up to 1 cup of powdered sugar, and we'll see what that looks like after we mix that together. It doesn't need to be completely solid or anything, but we don't want it to be too soft. Oh yeah, see? Now it's not quite falling off the spoon as easily. That's what I'm looking for. This is gonna be really good. And I love the fact that this, the graham crackers in there just offer a little bit of crunch. It's not a lot of crunch because they soften up a bit with all of the other ingredients. So it's not quite as crunchy as like a cornflake, but they offer just the right amount of crunch. I'm really never very good at this, but we are going to put parchment paper into this. Just bear with me. That mixture will help it kind of sink in there. Now we're gonna put all of this mixture into the pan and then put that in the refrigerator while we work on the next step. We're gonna press it in there actually. I'm sure you guys could give me lots of tips and tricks for this. I've said it here before, baking is not my specialty. Obviously I can add ingredients, I can measure ingredients, but I definitely prefer cooking where you just kind of like dump things in that you love. It doesn't have to be perfect measurements. And well, I mean, we're not really baking, are we? Because these are no bake, but you know what I mean. I feel like all the bakers in the world are looking at this going, oh honey, I could do that so much better. Okay, so we're just kind of pressing it in, smoothing it out a bit. And I'm actually gonna wash my hands really well and smooth this a bit with my hands, hoping that it will stick less than this. I left my hands a little wet because then the peanut butter doesn't stick, or that mixture doesn't stick. Perfect, so much better. Now, while I make up the chocolate layer, I'm actually gonna put this in the freezer. You can put it in the fridge, just depending on how long you think it's gonna take you to make this, but I wanna move along with these. So this is gonna go in the freezer for just a few minutes while we finish this up. Now to make our chocolate layer, I'm gonna take 1 tablespoon of peanut butter and add it to about 5.5 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips. You can do this in the microwave. You can do this in a double boiler over your stovetop. I'm just gonna do this in the microwave to keep it really simple and easy. So we'll microwave for about 1 minute on 50% heat, and then we'll just do 30-second increments after that to make sure it's all melted. Okay, the chocolate is all melted, so we're gonna add a chocolate layer all to the top here, the whole thing, and then we'll just kind of spread it out, trying our best to make an even layer on the top. So because I am not great with the parchment paper, the edges of mine will not be quite as beautiful as they probably could be. But you know, you guys, how about let's do this in the comment section. If you have a parchment paper hack for those of us that are just not bakers, that, I mean, we can, but we just don't know all the awesome tips and tricks. Leave us a comment and let us know your best parchment paper hack. We're going to put this back in the refrigerator. It's gonna take about 30 minutes or so to harden up, and then we will cut these into bars. These taste just like a Reese's cup. I am not kidding. Exactly like a Reese's cup. I cut them into little like triangular shapes. Honestly, the first time that I cut one, it kind of broke because I didn't let it soften enough. So that will happen. If you don't let it soften enough, your chocolate's gonna break. Obviously, that makes sense. But then I kind of thought, well, if I have some things that are square and some things that are round, this is offering a different shape in there, which is kind of nice to have anyway. They are so delicious. You get that crunch from that little bit of graham cracker, which is perfection in the peanut butter. And then you get that hard chocolate on the top. Y'all, I'm telling you, they taste exactly like a Reese's peanut butter cup. So good. All right, we're making these Butterfinger little, I don't know, candy ball things. I'm gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of sugar to my saucepan. And keep in mind, I am cutting this one in half like I have been doing, just because we don't need all of that. I'm just trying to show you guys all the awesome things that you can make. To the sugar, I'm gonna add about 1/4 cup or so of honey, and we're gonna melt this over on the stovetop. Now I'm actually bringing this to a boil. So once it's at a boil, we're gonna add in a few other ingredients. My heat is on a medium-low right now. Okay, we're gonna let this boil for about a minute, just a low boil. Continue to stir the entire time. Okay, so you see those bubbles. I'm gonna let that work together. Okay, while that's working, I am going to add in about 1/2 cup of peanut butter. Just about 1/2 cup. I'm not even gonna measure. It's just approximate here. We'll stir that in, get that nice and combined. And I'm also gonna add in about 3/4 of a cup of cornflakes. I know that sounds odd. Add those in. You're gonna work on crunching them up while you mix this together, okay? So it's a mix, smash type of deal. Okay, my heat is now on low because really the only thing I'm doing now is just combining the ingredients. You could honestly pre-smash them too if you wanted to just put them in a little baggie or something and get them all mashed up. Okay, I'm gonna transfer all of this to a bowl, and this bowl is gonna go into my freezer for about 10 minutes so that the dough will be cool enough that we can work with it. That's really all we're waiting for. We're going to make these balls. I'm gonna use my scoop just so that they're about the same. Ooh, it's still pretty warm. We'll just shape them like so. In addition to making the little bites, I'm gonna smooth out a layer of this onto the baking sheet, and then we're gonna crack that later and use it as a topping, okay? So we don't need much, just a little bit, just a thin layer. Hopefully this works. I'm not quite sure if it's gonna work, but let's go ahead and put these back in the freezer so those can really harden up. I'll probably have to reshape them just a bit, but then everything should be ready to go. And these have been in the freezer for about 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna set them directly back onto this parchment sheet because it works out perfectly. I have my melted chocolate. We're just gonna drop them in there, make sure they get coated, and then I'm gonna take a fork and I just tap it on the side of the bowl because it helps to get off any excess chocolate, and then put them right back on the baking sheet, okay? So same process over and over. You can remelt the chocolate, but you know, the longer you use the chocolate, the harder it will get. It'll start to harden up. So this is a really similar process to Buckeyes if you've never made Buckeyes before, or if you've ever made Buckeyes before. Obviously you can use a toothpick for this if you want to, and it might even be a cleaner process. No, it was so pretty before I did that. Okay, so this didn't work quite as well as I wanted, but what I wanted to do is break this up and kind of make a topping with it. I don't know, maybe if it stayed frozen for a little longer, but it's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't look quite as pretty as what I thought it would. So you can do this with or without this topping, but I'm gonna say without, might look better. All right, these are gonna go back into the freezer just so that chocolate can harden up, and then they're good to go. I'm gonna try one, but I am going to cut it down like a lot because Butterfinger is known for being exceptionally sweet. So let's just get a little bite here and not cut my finger off with it. Okay, all right, we're making a mess. It tastes exactly like a Butterfinger. I don't know why that was unexpected to me. I think I was expecting a similar flavor. To me, it tastes exactly like a Butterfinger. Honestly, probably a better version of it. You have the crunchiness of those cornflakes, which is so perfect for this. You got that peanut butter, the chocolate. I feel like my husband is going to love these. These are gonna be a winner. Oh yeah. I know that the cream cheese mints have been around for about 100 years, but there's a reason for that, because they're so good. We're making a half recipe again, so I've got 1 tablespoon of butter and 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. If you're making the full amount, you would want to double. Okay, just about a half teaspoon of peppermint extract. It doesn't need much. I'm getting it all over the place, but my hand smells really good. Okay, let's get this combined. I'm gonna slowly add 2.5 cups of powdered sugar to this. So we'll just add about a half cup at a time. And I mean, you wanna beat this slowly because otherwise it's gonna be all over the place. Okay, continue to add. And the last half cup. Now I have food dye. My son cannot have the food dyes that have your like red 40 and stuff like that in it. So we do have some that don't have that. However, they typically turn out like Easter colors versus a really rich red, green, blue, yellow. We're gonna try a little bit of green, but they might be more of like a spring color green. We'll just go with it. You don't have to dye these at all. You can absolutely just make them white. You know what? Let's do some white. Okay, my daughter has this really cool cookie press thing. We're gonna try and use the cookie press to make these. Where is my spatula? So we're gonna do some white and some green just for the fun of it. Oops, oops, oops. No, we want that, that's the good stuff. You could do white, you can do green, you can do red. I mean, you could do whatever you want as far as these go. Okay, let's make an attempt to add some green food coloring. Also, I just added some white little sprinkles and it kind of makes them look like snowflakes, which is fun. So we're gonna try the green food coloring, but y'all, I have a feeling it's not gonna work. It did nothing. Okay, now I'm thinking maybe we just go blue and then it's like a winter wonderland. Yeah, blue actually works decently well. Much better than the green. All right, so we're gonna refill this with the blue and do the exact same process. Now, if you've never had the privilege of having one of these cream cheese mints, then you probably never went to a wedding in what, the 70s, 80s, or 90s, because I do feel like every single wedding that I went to in my childhood, my early childhood, had these. And they're so good. Okay, we are gonna add some sprinkles to the blue. I'm just gonna add sprinkles all over actually. If they stick, they stick. Now, these do need to dry for about 24 hours, so I'm gonna put them in the fridge, let them harden up, let them dry, and then they will actually be ready tomorrow. These little cream cheese mints, I need them available in my home at all times. As a matter of fact, we had some of our staff members over from church and I served these and our pastor said, I need these available every Sunday morning instead of regular peppermints, just these available. So right before I start talking to people, I get a treat and a breath mint in one. So y'all, they're so good. They're addicting though. Okay, so be careful because if you make them, you will eat them. This next recipe is a little similar in flavor to our Reese's peanut butter bars, but they have a little bit of a different texture, which makes them unique. Plus they're layered and they look really cool. These are a chocolate peanut butter oatmeal bar. Some of it is made over on the stovetop, so we're gonna go over there just to get that mixture started. I've also prepped some chocolate chips and some peanut butter though, because there's a middle layer that's gonna happen. So that's here and ready to go for when we're ready to do that. Over here at my stove, we're gonna turn this on to a medium. I'm gonna add 1 stick of butter and we're gonna get that melted. Also, again, I am cutting this recipe in half. You guys know I like to do that, but feel free to make as much as you want. I've already lined my baking sheet with some parchment paper. This is a 7x5 baking sheet. And so this is just gonna make it easier to lift those out once we're done. Okay, that butter is almost melted. And then we're gonna add in 1/4 cup of brown sugar and just let that combine. It is nicely packed in there. Let's let this sugar dissolve. It just takes a couple of minutes to really dissolve and work together. Okay, that's pretty much dissolved. I'm gonna add in a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I've measured out 1.5 cups of oats. We're gonna pour those in and combine all of this together. I'm turning my heat on to low. I really just need this to combine for 3 minutes or so, 3 to 4 minutes, and just let it all mix together. Let's get our middle layer mixed together. I've got a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips and we are going to add in a 1/4 cup of peanut butter and get that melted. Friends, these are so easy, you won't even believe it. Okay, I turned my stove off, We pulled over the oats mixture, and half is gonna go into this baking dish, and I'll press it in. Now, depending on how much time you have, ooh, that's hot. You may want to do this in layers and refrigerate, and then another layer. If you are short on time though, you definitely don't have to. You can do this all kind of at the same time. I said this in my last video too. I don't like it when the glass makes that noise on the counter. Okay, so I'm pressing this in, just getting that bottom layer. So what I'm saying is you could refrigerate this layer, let it harden up, then you add your chocolate peanut butter layer, let it harden up, then add some more oats. We're not gonna do that just for the sake of time, but you can do whatever you have time for. Now you do wanna reserve a little bit of this for drizzling on the top. So we will do that. We don't need much though. It's really just a little bit. So you can see I've saved just a bit here. If you wait, if you let this layer harden up, then when you put that next layer on the top of the oats, it's gonna be more visible that there's kind of a chocolate layer in the center, but it's totally up to you how you wanna do it. And like I said, all dependent on the amount of time that you happen to have. My husband just got off work early today, so we're gonna go hang out together. So I'm gonna finish these up so that we can do that. Let's add in the rest of our oats that we made. We're gonna spill it, of course. Press this in. So let's take that chocolate, which might need to be remelted just a bit. Yeah, let's just melt this again, real quick. Now we just take this chocolate and we're gonna drizzle all over the top, okay? So just like so. You can do it however you want to, because you're gonna cut these into bars and it's gonna look different once you cut it into bars. Anyway, man, I am struggling with the drizzling today, huh? But just trust me, once they're cut, it'll be fine. It's gonna look different anyway. Also, I always prefer, I should have just done this. I usually drizzle with a fork. I don't know, there's something about the prongs on a fork that make drizzling so easy. Now you can put this in the freezer for maybe an hour or so, or you can put it in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 hours overnight, whatever it is that you need, depending on the amount of time that you have. We'll take these out and cut them. They're so pretty and so good. I am really enjoying these little oatmeal bars. I love seeing the different layers. So I like that about it. I think they're really pretty too. And then that chocolate drizzled on the top. I love the texture difference of having the oatmeal in there. It tastes very similar to the Reese's bars, similar flavors obviously, but you get that different texture of the oatmeal. These are delicious and really addicting, by the way. Very, very good. Our verse today comes from 2 Corinthians 9:7. Each of you should give what you've decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you need more inspiration, I highly suggest that you check out the video that I have linked above. It's so good, you're gonna love it. And don't forget to check out the link to Instacart in my description box, your holiday rescue app.